Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to The Dragon Prince, Episode 2. So yeah, we're back with another episode this week. I really wish I could do more than one, but right now it's just not in the cards. Especially since I actually have had this like completely random stomachache come out of nowhere. And for the past hour or so, it's been really bothering me. So I'm going to try to record through it. I'm going to try to get through it, but if it gets too bad, I'm going to have to put off JoJo and Kakagurui and stuff until tomorrow. But yeah, so last time in the first episode of Dragon Prince, it was kind of underwhelming for me, but apparently, according to some of you, according to Smurf, and a couple others, the first episode really isn't as great as it gets. It definitely progressively gets better. And I'm hoping that's true. I'm hoping that is how it goes. Yeah, so we have this kind of history lesson in a similar way to Ruby's first episode, where we have this lore built up. We have these two halves of, well, life in the world. We have humans and we have magical creatures. And the humans and the magical creatures don't really like each other. They're kind of at war. Because at one point in the past, they were living separately, but the humans, apparently, who had become versed in dark magic at one point, even prior to that, decided they were going to kill the Dragon King, who was keeping the border between the two halves of the continent. So they killed the Dragon King and the unborn Dragon Prince, and basically plunged the world into chaos. And so, yeah, shit's going down, and the humans and magical creatures don't like each other. So as we see, we have a king, and he's trying to send his two sons away, I believe for safety reasons and stuff. Meanwhile, we also have these elves. I want to say they were like moon shadow elves or something like that. I might be completely wrong on that. But they're like some kind of elves, and they're invading the human part of the country. I mean, that is very clear. They are invading, and the one girl in there, I cannot remember her name right now, is one of, honestly, the only few characters that I like right now. She decided to let this one guy, this human soldier, go. And she hid it. She pretended otherwise. She used berries to fake blood on her sword and stuff. And she pretended otherwise for the sake of her fellow elves. Eventually, though, the soldiers of the kingdom came looking for them, and well, they didn't find them because of a cloaking spell, but the other elves got angry at her for just in general, you know, fucking up in their eyes. Obviously, from our perspective, she did right. So yeah, it's interesting though, because it's kind of painting like both sides as having done wrong, but at the same time, in the current day, in the current story, only the elves are at fault here. With like what is currently happening, like what is currently going on, the elves are invading the human side of this kingdom and all, the human side of this continent or whatever. The kingdom, the soldiers and everything, the king and all, they're just going about their business. These soldiers, like, they weren't looking for this battle and everything, but it's kind of thrust upon them. They're not the bad guys here, at least not yet. We don't know the full story about like what this kingdom does or all that's behind their politics and their actions, to be fair. Now, I also mentioned how the king, specifically, I did not like. I felt like he was too playful and silly for a king character. Now, I'm not saying that a king character has to be like a hard ass, a jackass, or anything like that, especially to his kids. But he should be a more serious character, and he comes across as very silly, very childish himself, which makes him hard to take seriously. His advisor, whatever the guy's actual position was, I honestly couldn't say. Um, his overall just interaction with the king kind of also brought out that very silly side to the king. And I said last time that part wasn't even as big of an issue, where it's like, oh, didn't I tell you I'd have you executed if you woke me up this early again? And it's like, that part wasn't even as big of an issue. It was, again, more of how he acted around his sons, especially in a time that's supposed to be important. Like, he's trying to get them away for their safety and shit, and he's acting like that. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work in my eyes. It's not like he's like this despisable, horribly written character or anything. It's just he's not a likable character. He's not. I don't feel like he's a believable character. The kids themselves, the two princes of the kingdom, there's a natural-born prince and a step prince. The stepson of the king, who is the older one. The older one seems to be a bit of a go-getter. He seems to be very willing to be able to go out there and serve and protect and everything. He's all for it. The only problem is he's not good at it. And the younger son is more of a trickster, more of a troublemaker, stealing food from the baker and stuff like that. Getting into shenanigans with his little, I guess it's a dragon, his little dragon buddy. And yeah, it's like these characters seem very generic to me so far. Like, very generic, and it's kind of worrying. And I really hope that they don't continue to be like that. I really hope that they do grow as characters and become much more than that. I just watched Rarity Dash's reaction to this short called Koji that's promoting this upcoming series from Studio Mir, the same studio that did stuff such as Legend of Korra and Voltron Legendary Defender. And that, just from that, like, short, like, what, 7 minutes, was infinitely more fascinating than the first episode of Dragon Prince. And the characters were infinitely more likable and interesting. And that's worrying for Dragon Prince. But, I mean, legit, it was only the first episode. And I'll be the first one to acknowledge that I can't rightfully judge an entire series on that. I have to wait and see. They could very well end up going past these very generic, stereotypical characters that they are right now. I mean, the characters in MLP did start off pretty freaking generic and stereotypical, but they grew into a lot more than that. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see exactly where they take this, and hopefully I do end up starting to like it a lot more as it goes forward. Either way, because of this stomach ache, which is at least right now manageable, I'm going to try and get through this, and we're just going to get on with it. I'm not going to waste any more time. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Still a little underwhelming, to be honest. I don't like the king. I really, again, as I said during the reaction, if he were just like a normal stepfather character, just like let's put him in the zone of Tai Yang from Ruby. If he were a character like Tai Yang, just a normal stepfather, maybe a good warrior or something, even a knight, then his personality would work fine. But as a king, he comes across as extremely childish, unbelievably, like, poor at decision making. I mean, he definitely had the right idea when he was arguing with Viren and all, and I really like the cleverness of, like, asking Viren, would you die for me? And catching him in his bullshit. But he acts like a child. He's way too overly emotional for a king to be. He has no sense of leadership, no commanding presence at all. This is not a guy who can lead someone. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, acting that way in front of his kids is one thing, but he acts the same way in front of his subjects, in front of those who serve him. And again, I agree with his decision not to use dark magic. It's not that I don't understand his points of view or anything. It's specifically his personality. I really get irritated by that. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't find him a likable character. Rayla, on the other hand, is pretty much as great as ever. I hate the overall kind of guilty by association fallacy that she's pushing a lot in this episode. But to be fair, I don't necessarily think that's her mindset. I think that's more of the mindset of the elves as a whole. And a mindset that we've already seen she doesn't fully agree with. But I hate that. I hate the guilty by association fallacy, because not only is it devoid of all logic, like fallacies are, but it's actually a completely immoral, disgusting, and honestly evil outlook to have. You're basically saying that all people of whatever people group, no matter who they are, no matter what they have or have not done, is guilty of the actions of the few. That's like saying all Germans are evil because of Nazis. It's like saying all Russians are evil because of Stalin. It's like saying all Americans are evil because of Trump. It's straight up lying. It's false. It's an evil outlook to have, because you're demonizing every innocent, kind, nice, loving, caring, just good person out there for the actions of someone they had absolutely no control over, that they had nothing to do with. And it irritates me so fucking much. And again, I don't think it's Rayla's mindset on things. I think we've kind of seen already that it's not, that she actually believes otherwise, but she's trying in this episode to prove herself in a way, which honestly she's actually doing a fairly good job at, proving herself to the Moon Shadow Elves that she's unfortunately a part of. She's technically doing well here. Though, admittedly, in their eyes, she should have just killed Callum when she first met him, and not given him even a chance to speak. So, there's that. But yeah, this just overall, it's very underwhelming to me. Callum and Ezra as characters, like, Ezra really actually stepped up in this episode compared to the last one. He actually showed a lot of cleverness and intelligence, a lot of just really great character stuff. Callum, he showed some like good stuff from a moralistic standpoint, but from a character standpoint, he's just kind of the same as in the first episode. So I don't hate him, but it's not like I don't love him or anything either. Ezra, I definitely like a lot more. The other elves we saw, hate their guts. And Viren, I actually had no real strong feelings on Viren in the first episode, but in this one, oh, I despise the fuck out of him. Oh, and the king rightfully pointed out exactly why. He's a hypocritical asshole who's trying to force the usage of dark magic in order to basically take out a group of people he deems as lesser. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. No matter what kind of excuses or whatnot he tries to spout, that's what it comes down to. And he just irritates the shit out of me. And I'm glad he got called out on his bullshit. Even if it is by a king who can't lead for shit. And should have just told him fuck off right from the get-go. Instead of arguing like a child. I'm not getting over that. But yeah, the second episode I would say was better than the first. And the reveal at the end that the Dragon Prince's egg is still there, not quite where I thought this was going to go, but it works. I knew that there was going to be some kind of Dragon Prince either. I thought this glow toad thing that Ez has was a dragon. It looks like a dragon. It looks nothing like a fucking toad. It looks nothing like a fucking toad or a frog or whatever. Nothing like one. Like, it looks completely reptilian. Frogs and toads are amphibian. It doesn't look like it could be any... It doesn't look like it could survive in water. It looks like a fucking dragon. It just straight up looks like a fucking dragon, not a toad. So I don't know what the hell is going on. Maybe I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Ezra just thinks that's what it is, and it is a dragon. Maybe he was like told it was like a glow toad. Maybe that's kind of the kind of lie that he was given to not worry him or anything. Because there is no way that's not a fucking dragon. I'm sorry. That is a fucking dragon. But yeah, so it's clear that, as I said last time, I do know that Rayla does eventually join forces with the good guys. I have seen art and stuff that shows them working together and as a team and everything. Kind of like a team Avatar from Avatar and Korra. And this is probably going to be what really leads to it, the fact that the Dragon Prince's egg is still there and that it wasn't destroyed. That's probably going to turn her view on humans around a little bit. And she and the brothers are probably going to... It's probably going to be their mission to bring the dragon egg to the mountain or something. That's the only thing I can really see going on with that. Otherwise, I just don't see where this could be going. I assume in this next episode, we'll probably have the other Moon Shadow Elves fighting against the human soldiers and stuff. But who knows? It's honestly hard to say. I guess we'll find out next week, though. Either way, I did enjoy this this episode a lot more than episode 1. It was still underwhelming. It still felt like this isn't the show that people are so excited and hyped about. It just doesn't feel like it deserves that amount of hype. But it's not terrible. It's just very underwhelming so far. Hopefully it does start to really pick up soon because, like, there's what, like 8 or 9 episodes per season, so with a shorter season length like that, it does need to get really kicked off early on. So hopefully we get to that. In the meantime, though, tell me what you thought of the second episode of The Dragon Prince. What did you think of Rayla's honestly epic abilities? What do you think of the fact that that is not a fucking toad, it is a dragon? And what do you think of just the other things I've mentioned? Tell me your thoughts on all of that and more in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles,